Well, hello there, fun seekers. This is Joe Leydon from the Moving Picture Show. And as you can see, I have hovering over my shoulder Lucky the cat, one of the stars of a really charming documentary, Cat Daddies. And it didn't just appeal to me because I am not only a cat daddy, but a cat granddaddy. But
Oh,
it is really such it's a lovable film, and I think you'll love it. And I have the pleasure today of talking with Hoang, who is the director of the film. And the film is kicking off its festival run this weekend at the Dallas International Festival, correct?
mm-hmm.
Well, to get started, what you got you fascinated in this project? Are you and your husband cat parents or?
Yes, I've always loved cats. I love all animals, really. I just happen to be a cat mom. But yeah, years ago when this was on my mind, I was seeing more and more men with their cats on social media. So there were like all these popular hashtags like cat dads, men with cats, beards and cats, hot guys with cats, and just seeing all this content, it just really made me really happy. Like I was happy to see so many men kind of unashamed to share their love of cats. It gave me kind of like this Marie Kondo like spark joy whenever I saw a picture of a man holding their kitty. It just that men are just allowed now to be vulnerable. I just didn't really see that growing up, and I think a lot of men are conditioned to love dogs over cats and other things that seem more masculine. And I think that is changing. And my husband was not a cat guy when we first met. He knew that I liked cats, and that was fine, but he was indifferent. It wasn't until one day a cat found him, and he started taking care of this cat, feeding this cat, and now he's blossomed into this bona fide cat guy. Like he's more into the cats than I am, I think now. And I wouldn't have ever guessed. You would never pin him as this kind of guy. And so that got me thinking to like there must be so many men who just don't know that they could love a cat. And I think it's all has to do with, cats are, they're hard to get to know. You have to earn their love, earn their trust, and a lot of people don't have patience for that. A lot of people only know cats peripherally. You don't get to see the private lives of a person and their cat. They're always inside. You just don't see that outwardly with a dog. Like you go to a dog park or you see them walking on the street. So I think people just don't have that exposure. And I set forth to make this film because I thought maybe, well, one is selfish reasons. I just love watching cat content. I love beautifully shot cat content. I love the idea of seeing them on the big screen and having people together, bringing people together in a theater, hearing all the oohs and ahs. I mean, there's something magical about that when you bring cat lovers together. And so that was a big part of it. And also, I thought maybe this could help with the perception of men and cats, and maybe we could encourage more men to adopt.
Well, the way the film is structured, uh, and it's actually very smart, very subtle. You have a homeless fellow who has adopted or has been adopted by the fellow in back of me, Lucky. Uh, and as the film progresses, uh, you get the impression not only did this cat save his life, it's kept him alive.
For sure. Um, we didn't know where that story was going to go. We had actually already cast all the cat guys when someone tipped me off to this man who'd been living on the streets for almost 2 years already in New York with his cat. He can't find housing that will allow him to keep the cat. He's on a wait list for the one shelter in the city that would allow him to keep his cat. So he's waiting on that. And when we started out, we just thought that he, we would film him, but then like somewhere along the way, like they were going to get into the housing and he'd be, on his way to be back on his feet. And I don't know if it's a spoiler, but he turns out to be very sick. And yeah, and the cat is really the only thing he has going for him. Unfortunately, I thought it was really ironic his cat's name is Lucky, because he just seems to be so unlucky in life. He just has all the cards against him. He also has disability, he has cerebral palsy, so he doesn't have full use of his hands, and so that's really kept him from getting work. And I just really wanted to show their bond. They have such a strong bond, and once we met him and once we saw that the cat was really well taken care of. I mean, I think he takes care of the cat better than himself. He just
Mhm.
seemed like the epitome of a cat dad, and we just kind of had to include him in the movie. But we didn't know he was going to play such a large part of the movie. That happened because of COVID. The middle of our shooting, literally the middle of our shooting, March 2020 happened. Everything went into lockdown. We couldn't travel. We actually had plans to go overseas, and none of that could happen. So since we weren't, since some of these interviews were canceled, we just decided we'd follow his story a little more, which was getting a little more complicated. So we, stuck with him. It wasn't easy flying back to New York, though. I have
Mhm.
to say, even like we took almost a whole extra year to shoot than we had planned. Just kind of like waiting in the wings for our chance to fly. Um, and then, it never happened. It took a long time. My DP had to film some of the some of the New York footage, one man band. He had to do everything himself. He happened to be on the East Coast anyway, so that all worked out. But I was on the phone doing interview,
Mhm.
and we were just doing this COVID style. He had to wear a mask, a face shield, a
Mhm.
gown. He had to stay very distant and just finish filming for us, and we couldn't be there. It was amazing that he pulled that off.
Well, the first time you see on screen, the super, March 2020, it's like, uh-oh, you know, and it's not an oppressive element. I mean, the film is primarily joyful.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's a celebration of the bonds, and not only the bonds between men and women, and the cats, but sort of the bonds that cats help forge between people. I mean, this homeless fellow, primarily because the cat uh, forms a very warm relationship with a police officer in New York who becomes sort of like his protector. I don't like to use these terms lightly, but almost his guardian angel, and also a woman who helps cat sit for him. And you have a couple, a sort of brawny stuntman who loves his cat, and this helps forge a relationship between a woman who is also a pretty tough customer herself.
Yeah, so many different relationships, and I keep telling people it's not just about cats. But I love the fact. I'm so glad we spent more time with David in New York, because there's so many of these relationships and friendships that he had because of his cat. So the cat was like the attractor, right? And it would start a conversation. And I don't think all these people would have a conversation with a homeless man or get to know him. But they had this common interest, which was cats. And so he made all these friends who, helped him and continue to help him now. And I think that I wanted to show not only that, but the cat ladies that he was befriending. But I thought it was so special, this friendship that he had with Chris the cop, because David doesn't have many male friends. He doesn't have many guy friends, but they were able to have a friendship because they both love cats so much. And I just thought that was so touching, and it's just amazing the kind of like compassion that people have had for him, and that that friendship could be forged that way. And it's really blown David's mind. I don't think that he actually told me outside of filming that he never had friends like this before this cat. I mean, he had like work relationships, but he really kept to himself most of the time. And, you know, and so it's really strange that he almost had no real true friendships, the kind of friendships where people help each other out and continue to check on each other. He just didn't have that. So now he has so much love from all these people. And it is all because this cat brought these people into his life. And he feels, even though he has so much going against him, he feels so blessed. He's always telling me how grateful he is and how blessed he feels and how loved he feels. And it's all thanks to this cat that saved his life, really.
Well, and also the relationship between the cat and not just one firefighter, but it seems like the entire staff of
Yeah,
that
the
particular
entire
fire
fire
station.
department. Yep.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, they're all dog guys, and you can tell as soon as you walk in, they're dog guys. But yeah, this cat changed their perception. I think it gives them much of an outlet, much of an emotional, mental distraction and outlet for them. And so I think it's important for all of us to, remember and recognize that. And it's amazing to me that these men, put themselves in so much danger. They do so much, right, for our communities. And how petty it is that, there have been some cases that they can't, the firehouse can't have their cat. Like it's just confounding to me. I don't understand it. Like, of all people, they should have whatever
Uh,
whatever helps them.
didn't it used to be, almost a law that every fire station had to have a Dalmatian dog there? I mean, are these rules set by dog lovers, dare I say?
I don't think there are rules, but I think that sometimes it's interesting. I mean, this goes across a lot of our culture. It's like one person's complaint just turns into, cats are all canceled now at the
Oh
fire station.
no! Oh no!
Yeah, I mean, it's just sort of, no one asked the firemen what they wanted. It's just ludicrous.
Cancel culture comes to the cat world. That's rather disturbing. Now, in addition to COVID, 2020 was the year of the fires in California, the mudslides, and there too, you have a couple, and without making a big deal about it, it's almost like their cat sort of helped keep them sane, and maybe their cat was really lucky too, or good luck charm for them.
Yeah, I included that part in the movie because I wouldn't have included the wildfires in the movie, except that it circled back to the firefighters we already filmed. And so I just wanted to show like what the devastation is, what, that what the firefighters have to deal with, and the kind of comfort that cats bring. And it's kind of interesting that those cat owners had a lot of trouble finding a place to stay after they were evacuated. Like, there were hotels that would take dogs, but they wouldn't take cats. And then um, I also thought that an important thread through the movie that I was finding that I was not planning for in the beginning was just this feeling of housing insecurity, which comes up, I think, multiple times in the movie, and especially with people who live in the Bay Area. So I'm sure there are a lot of people who would love to have pets that just can't because their places are really small. There's just there's a housing affordability crisis, and I'm sure that affects our pets.
Now, another thing I noticed about the film, sort of a recurring theme, is you talk about breaking down the stereotype of guys with their cats. Well, you also are breaking down the stereotype, say, of the trucker,
Yes.
even the firefighter. I mean, yes, he's a tough, burly guy, but he keeps a Bible, tucked
Yes.
away in his helmet, hoping the good Lord will protect him.
Yes.
Uh, and again, you have the stunt double, stunt artist, who really looks like he could handle himself very well against, I don't know, a dozen or so people in a bar fight, and but he loves his kitty. Uh,
Big fluffy kitty too.
yeah, I
It's
mean,
not even just any kitty.
we my wife and I feed a whole bunch of cats in this neighborhood. Now we're kind of certain that most of them really have homes, but they know we're easy touches, so they come.
Aw.
And there's one we call Fluff Daddy because
Fluff Daddy, I love it.
it's but the whole idea of we are too quick sometimes, even the police officer. And I'm certainly, not going to defend, some of the awful things, the clashes between, police officers and unarmed people this past year, well, past few years. But you make us look past the stereotype in a lot of cases throughout the film.
Yeah, that's what I love the most. Because because they're humans too. And I just wanted to show that, they're humans, they're able to be compassionate, they're able to love. I wanted to bring a diverse group of people. I very specifically wanted everyone to have a different occupation. I wanted them to be from a different part of the country. Some of that didn't work out because of COVID, and we had to maybe cancel a few cities. But still, I think I got what I wanted. I wanted, people different ages, different backgrounds, and I wanted to just kind of, celebrate some of our similarities and our ability to be so loving, not even just to animals, but even to each other, to, especially with the friendship between David, the homeless man, and the police man that befriends him. And I just think that yeah, like you said, the breaking the stereotype of who a truck driver is. I never met a truck driver. I learned so much. I didn't know how much time they spend on the road. I mean, it just sounds miserable, sometimes up to 4 months, probably even more now that we're in a supply chain crisis.
Mhm.
I just can't imagine how you can stay sane, living on the road like that. And I wanted to really break the stereotype of homeless people too. I mean, I'd always been, you know, pretty open-minded, pretty savvy. I don't, I'm not one of those people who thinks that everyone who's homeless is, you know, a criminal. But a
Mhm.
lot of times people assume that they are in some way. And I wanted to show, I didn't want to just show David on the street. I wanted to show glimpses of his life to show that he also has a social life. He's just like you and me. He has, he has to talk to his friends on the park bench or something, but he doesn't go out much. But he has people that they love him, and he loves, and there are people that he loves. So he's not just some guy on the street asking for money. He's actually very humble about it. He just does it to survive, and so a lot of it is about survival. I think there's a parallel between his story and the survival of street cats. Yeah, whether you're an animal or a human, it's just I wanted to bring attention to the fact that there are people who they're just trying to survive out there. They're just fending. They have to fend for themselves unless compassionate people step up.
And also, you bring up the whole program of capture and neuter and release so feral cats will not be breeding more feral cats. Uh, I love the fact that this one guy just threw himself into it. Even started his own nonprofit entity to commit himself, to this. And then you have, again, the stunt performer, and he wants to do that with the feral cats in his area, but he has to go online to find out how to capture cats.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's how well social media has played into cat ownership, because not only is it exposing people to images of men with their cats and making it less like shameful or embarrassing, that it's also helping people learn about how to be a cat owner or how to solve a problem, a cat population problem in your community. Yeah, those videos have even taught me, like, I've been a cat owner all my life, but videos on the internet are so helpful in kind of being better at it.
Well, now, people want to learn more about your movie and keep up with this progress along the circuit, and hopefully its ultimate distribution. What is the website?
It is very easy. It's catdaddiesmovie.com. And all of our social media is at catdaddiesmovie. So very easy, and I'm easy to find. And yeah, we're excited to be rolling this out finally. I'm really pushing for the in-theater experience over the next year, because I made it for the big screen. Honestly, we shot in 4K. It's mixed in Dolby Atmos. We did all these crazy things because it's not just an internet cat video. We really wanted to make it like a cinematic experience and make it fun.
Very quickly, for the indie filmmakers out there, could you tell us just a little bit about the camera you used?
Oh yeah, so very interesting. We actually used the Blackmagic Pocket 4K. It's a very small, lightweight camera, and that's it. I mean, I don't exactly remember what lenses we used, but it wasn't anything too crazy or fancy. It was just, I just have a great director of photography who knows what he's doing. He's very familiar with the Blackmagic. And once, I like to tell aspiring filmmakers it's not really about the equipment, but it's the person using the equipment, and they have to know what they're doing. And that, and you can just, yeah, I just think it was a magical experience for us, because we needed something that was lightweight and that wouldn't be too distracting to the cats, and just try to keep them acting natural. My camera guy had to like lay on the ground most of the time. I mean, he's just rolling around on the ground or crawling to keep up with the kitties. So we needed something lightweight, and that was really like the perfect camera to make that happen. And it's a very inexpensive camera, so everything worked out, thankfully.
Well, it looks great, and it touches the heart, and it makes you laugh. And I really can't say enough nice things about Cat Daddies. Thanks for the words, and good luck with the film.
Thank you. I'm so glad you enjoyed it.